there, welcome back to the show. Today is going to be the last week of videos for a couple of weeks. I'm taking probably a 2-week break, basically early November, mainly because I'm knackered and I've been doing quite a lot of videos recently, like the out ones, you know, doing stuff with Rodin, doing my other videos. I'll still be doing stuff with Rodin, but for my main channel, I'm taking a fortnight off. I've done stuff on in real life as well that slowed down me watching things, which also made me tired, so I just need to get 2 weeks off to recover and start watching stuff again. So it's only 2 weeks. There's a couple of videos I plan to do that I'll do afterwards, like I'll continue the Malik season afterwards. I'll try and get back to some other seasons like the Cronenberg stuff and the Alan Clark stuff afterwards. But a lot of stuff the series I'll be doing will extend into like January, February anyway, so it's not like going to be a big thing. So that's just basically it. I'm taking 2 weeks off. I'll probably put some stuff up on my Facebook, like old videos and things to recommend the things I haven't been seen for a while. So that's that. That's the basic message. I'm off for 2 weeks. And this time I mean that I won't be doing out one stuff. Last time I said I was going to take time off. End up doing probably more videos than I was planning than I did normally. So this will be different. Actually, I'm taking 2 weeks off. And also when I come back, I'll start to work out the idea. Because it's the end of the decade, I'll probably do some end of the decade videos as well, rather than just end of the year stuff. But that'll come as it goes. But I'll probably do like individual films that for this decade that's been, I think, are really important. So that's what's coming anyway. There'll be a final horror series, the Evil Dead movies I'll also do after the break. I was planning to do, never around to watching them, but I'll watch them and I'll do a video on it after I come back. So the video for today is Medium Cool. Medium Cool is directed by Haskell Wexler, and he's a famed DP, and he did work in American Graffiti, all these big 60s, 70s movies. He did the Thomas Crown Affair, so he did a lot of films, a lot of documentaries, some that were more commercial, some films that were commercial, some films that were less commercial, but this is a chance to direct a film. So he was given this story about a reporter, and so that was the basis. And there's also the thing about, he was also meant to do it about these people who used to live in the mountains, who came down to the city and started working in the city. That was a material that was based on that, was a material that was going to be the film. But as the film developed, the reportage element became more important than the script. So, and it was made during the peak of the 60s rebellion of during the Democratic Convention in Chicago. This was around about the time where Robert Kennedy had been killed, Martin Luther King had been killed. It was the worst time in America. It was a bit with a lot of protests. It wasn't just students, it was people in the streets protesting. The National Guard was out and were getting told to control the crowds, and they were doing like preparation for it. Like they had to go to camps in the weekend to prepare for this because they expected it to be the worst. So they were expecting trouble because everything had been going wrong in the American psyche. This was when Lyndon Johnson, after all the problems with Vietnam, had decided he wasn't going to run again for the Democrats. So they're going to have a new Democratic leader, and whoever it was going to go up against Richard Nixon. So that is a background, and this film, the documentary film, sticks to the idea. I've seen a lot of it through the eyes of a news reporter who ends up connecting with the people from the poor white area, from the mountain area, who come to the city during his investigations, during his news stories he's doing. So the guy's played by Robert Forster, who just died recently. This is when he was very young, and this is one of his early parts, and he plays this kind of cold-blooded reporter who is more focused on the image rather than the human emotional content. It's like, the first scene you see him stop at a crash, he gets the footage before he phones up for the ambulance. He makes sure he gets the footage first. That's the kind of guy he is. He works with a sound guy, and they go to different assignments. You see them going to Washington to cover, for the news place, that they're covering the camps outside, near the White House, and near the various monuments. And it's just this mock camp. So Wexler uses the idea of them being newsmen, him sending them different places and showing you kind of stuff they see and showing you the kind of what's going on in the world of the 1968. Because they're the best people to send, but it also shows the cynicism. Like, even though they are going to cover these great events, the sound guy is more worried picking some women up at the bar rather than what he's covering. So it shows you how disconnected these guys are. I mean, Foster's character is a bit more connected to the politics than the sound guy is. He seems to know what's going on a lot more. He seems to have some concerns, but there's still a kind of coldness to him. He is most focused on what the camera sees and what he can film. That's what he loves to do, and he's not really that critical. But you see him in like society dealing with different people that he works with. He is kind of a kind of ragged dog who has to be controlled at times. But we see him within society, like within like a social event. He's kind of quiet and observant. He's not really saying much. He's just observing the various things people are saying, and all these political people with political ideas, and he doesn't really butt in for anything. He just lets them talk. So he's engaged, but he knows his place. So it shows even in this kind of supposedly new era where people are pushing for everyone's rights. Everyone has a place. There is class. Like, of course they say there isn't any class, but everyone knows where the class is, where they're meant to be, where they're allowed to be, what they're allowed to say. It's like saying you don't have class, even though America obviously has class structures. It's more adaptable. You can go up and down a lot more than some other countries, but it's still there. If you're the owner, you can say whatever you want. If you're someone like Foster, you can say certain things behind the scenes, but you can't say anything in company. And you're expected to toe the party line. So you see him going out to all these different places. He goes out to the National Guard practicing for the Democratic Convention and watching them deal with members of their own group who are dressed as civilians as they learn how to corral the people. And it's all done as japes. No one's really taken too seriously. So the whole thing is about the view of society at the time, which is people see something serious is coming. No one's sure how to react, actually. Everyone's kind of has an idea that it's serious, but people take it as just part of their lives, and they're not quite sure how to move forward. So they'll just make the usual cheesy jokes, and they'll continue with their lives. That Foster's seen this woman who's a nurse for a while, then it breaks it off, and it's just a life floating through society. But Foster actually starts seeing this woman from the mountain area who's come down to the city. She's played by Verna Bloom, who's, I guess this is the first part. And she's much more human character. She's like has to deal with. She was a teacher. Now she's down into the city working to a motor roller, and she's running up a son by herself because her father walked out when all the mines closed down, so they had to move out of the area on the mountains because there wasn't any work. So she's trying to bring up her son who's rebellious and who's trying to do different things. He's still a good son, he just has a lot of energy. And at some point he's messed around with Foster's car, and that's how Foster finds him and he finds something this the kid loves pigeons and he leaves his basket beside the car and he runs off. So Foster sees the name and address and brings the basket back. That's how he meets Werner Bloom, and they start talking, and slowly they start to bond. They get a bond together, which is kind of humanises Foster a little bit. He's still the cold guy, but he's a bit warmer with her. He likes her. He likes the kid. He starts to tries to help him out a little bit and tries to make life a bit easier, and takes Bloom to this party and allows her to just relax because she's through a very difficult time. Her husband left her and she's living in this total dump in Chicago and she can't really get out of her social situation, so he's helping her a little bit. This is a wonderful look at the working poor in Chicago in the 1960s. It's like normally a lot of films made at that time were about the middle classes, or if they're working classes it would be sentimentalised. This is the actual working poor, where you have people with jobs that don't last very long. So these are the working class people. They go to work, they work long hours, the kids are left in the streets because they have to be at work. And then people wonder why the kids are tearaways when where's the parental control? Well, these people are working. They're working low paid jobs. And their houses are dirty because they can't afford decent housing. And it's just a look at the poor in Chicago and what it actually means to be poor. And that's what's wonderful about it. It actually shows unsentimentality. No sentimentality, no nothing. It's about what you wouldn't normally see in cinema. And that becomes the area. I mean, that's what the film's sold on. And it becomes a real important part of the film. You see Bloom slowly starting to become more engaged in the politics of the situation and what's going on in our community and things like that. But you also see the Foster try to be nice to the kid and show the kid society outside of what he knows. Of course, the kid that gets jealous of Foster's relationship with his mother and runs away. But only runs away for a night and then he comes back, and by that point his mum's away to try and find him, and that's during the Democratic Convention Day, where Foster's in the convention hall taking footage, and they weren't meant to be in there, but Warren Beatty was there and he managed to get them passes apparently if they would shoot some stuff for him as well while he was there. so they broke a deal with Warren Beatty to try and get this rare footage. During the same time, so Robert Frost was actually shooting some of that footage. So it was him and someone else going round and was shooting some of the footage. And then he also, Haskell Wexler was actually in the riots though, as he follows Werner Bloom. She's looking for her son, and you're seeing what's happening outside. You're seeing the people getting beat up. You're seeing the cops all around. The feeling of violence ready to explode. You're seeing people who are bloodied. You're seeing like broken bits of a park and things. You're seeing that things have gone wrong. Society is collapsing around them, and it's like, well, what do you do when this is the Democratic Convention? This is meant to be a political joining, and it's also the fact it's not just students, it's like people in the streets who are old people, young people, working class people who are just fed up with the way things have been going with Vietnam, with just the general corruption of American society, and it's just exploding there, and the National Guard don't know how to deal with it. And so much of it you actually hear off stage, because I don't think they only got so much footage, but they used sound to create the feeling of what was going on. And basically at the end, that's kind of the story. I don't want to there are a couple of things that happen through that afterwards that I'm not going to say. You can see the film, because it's not a plotty film. This is about their experience, really. It's about a story. There's some stuff at Foster that I haven't really gone into either, because it's really interesting, but it's not the main focus of things that interested me. And it ties to conspiracy theories and what does the media do, and how is the media tied to government. Because one thing Foster finds out, that all the footage he's been shooting, as well as been going on the air, the unedited footage is going back to the government. So they're using his footage to spy on civilians, which he never knew, and he finds unacceptable, because he's like, that's not right. We shouldn't be joined government. There's some things like that slowly emerge as well. And it's a wonderful film. It's just wonderful. It's shot like a documentary, so there's no fancy shots or anything. It's about the feeling of the time, the sense of the social isolation of the poor, the obliviousness of the kind of rich, or the kind of media class, and how the things they're discussing have no real impact on the working classes. It's just like, it feels very vain and very self-serving, and what's actually going on in the poorer areas is actually much more disturbing and much more need help. It's been ignored. It's just been completely ignored, and it will always be ignored in media, because it's not interesting. The people buying the tickets, can afford to go to the cinema, are the middle classes who'd rather see themselves. They don't want to see the poor who have to wait to see this stuff on TV. And what do they get sent back from TV? Middle class stuff. They don't get to see themselves on TV. They just get to see representations of a class that doesn't care that much about them. So it's a really wonderful film. It's really worth seeing. Again, I'm trying not to spoil too much. I'm giving you a general idea what the story is, but there's a lot going on that goes off to the side that's not tied to this. There's lots of stuff that Foster does, or Werner Bloom does, that's really interesting. And a lot of the footage of Werner Bloom going through the city during that day is amazing. Apparently she actually was insistent to Wexler that she did it. He was a bit worried for her, but she said, no, we're going to do this. So it's amazing footage, and you've seen Foster in the convention halls as well. It was really amazing. So it's a stunning look at history and America at the time. Yes, this one and Punishment Park are the most interesting ones from this period. You've got they deal with politics and the way politics works, and it's just the complications of politics within this society, within American society in the late 60s, early 70s. They seem more honest and more brutal about it, and less pie in the sky about the hopes and dreams of the kind of liberal elite, which isn't that interesting. It's much more about what's going on in the surface, what's going on below the surface, what's going on with working classes, what's going on in between the working classes and the richer people, either left or right. It's much more complicated and naughty and really fascinating. So this is a wonderful film. I highly recommend it. See it. Just try and see it. It's available in Criterion, it's available in Eureka Master Cinema, so it's available in Blu-ray. Some very good extras on it, wherever you get it. So try and see it. Bye.